If you've been in the coaster community longer than a few minutes, chances are you know about Cedar Point and its legendary roller coasters. After Steel Vengeance opened to rave reviews in 2018, many enthusiasts have already turned their gaze to the future. Cedar Point has been on an every 3-year coaster edition, which makes 2021 the next time we could anticipate a new roller coaster. With something so great and epic like Steel Vengeance, the real questions are, what could possibly top it, and will Cedar Point even try? With a park like Cedar Point, which has 17 roller coasters in operation, figuring out what roller coasters they could get next is like trying to buy a special gift for someone who has everything. Many could argue that Cedar Point doesn't need a new roller coaster, and maybe Cedar Fair should put some more focus on their other parks in the chain. Regardless of your opinion on this matter, Cedar Point will get a new roller coaster eventually, so let's discuss what the next one could be. I think I can boil down my probabilities to 6 choices. Alright, let's get to them. A wooden roller coaster. I think the one kind of roller coaster that Cedar Point is missing that almost everyone can agree on is a wooden roller coaster. After Mean Streak was converted into Steel Vengeance, this left a giant gap in their coaster lineup. The park does have a wooden coaster with Blue Streak, but this is an old classical wooden coaster that would differ from a modern wooden coaster by GCI or Gravity Group. The manufacturer that I'd put my money on for this project would be Great Coasters International. Cedar Fair has worked with them in the past, and it seems to have a positive relationship with the company. A multi-inverting roller coaster. When it comes to record-breaking statistics, Cedar Point is obsessed over these achievements. Every roller coaster in the park's recent history has been a record-breaking attraction of some kind. I would argue that a few of these were gimmicky, but still achievements. Of all the record-breaking stats, I think there are 4 that stand above the rest, which is height, speed, ride length, and the amount of inversions. Currently, Smiler at ALTON Towers holds the record for the most inversions on any roller coaster in the world at 14 inversions. Steel Curtain, located at Kennywood, has the most inversions in the US with 9, so both records are within grasp for Cedar Point to smash. I think the obvious manufacturer for this project would be Gerstlauer. After building projects like Smiler, Takabisha, Shellraiser, building another roller coaster to break their former record seems like the right step. Cedar Fair has worked with this manufacturer recently with Hangtime at Knott's Berry Farm, so it wouldn't be hard picturing these two companies working again. A 500-foot roller coaster. I think this is the project that I would be the most excited for. Ever since Qiddiya Ka opened in 2005, I've been wondering when the next roller coaster would break the height record. If Cedar Point were to top Qiddiya Ka, they would go for 500 feet or taller. I would also expect them to also break the track length record and possibly the speed record. I'm not sure if a 500-foot drop would get you past 150 miles an hour, but tackling all 3 records would be a huge achievement. Unfortunately, I think this project will remain a fantasy because there are too many factors fighting against this idea. First is the price tag. A ride of this magnitude would cost a hefty price, making it the most expensive addition ever to Cedar Point. Second is location. Cedar Point is running out of land to work with, so a 500-foot roller coaster with over 8,000 feet of track is going to be challenging to build. Of course, they could just build a roller coaster that breaks the height record with one of those coasters wrapping around like an observation tower. This would make more sense and would work well with the space Cedar Point has. Finally, it's the manufacturer. I doubt B&M would tackle a project like this, and I don't think Rocky Mountain Construction is ready to build an attraction of this size. I know many seem to be clamoring for a 500-foot T-Rex coaster, but I really don't think this is in the cards yet, especially since RMC has yet to even build a coaster of this type. And also, this would be almost 300 feet taller than any other roller coaster they have built to date. Intamin would be the most obvious choice. They've always been ready to take on challenging projects like this, but I don't know if both Cedar Fair and Intamin have warmed up to each other to start working together again. Flying roller coaster. If Cedar Point is simply working their way down through the B&M catalog, a flying coaster is their one coaster type missing from the park's lineup. Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan is the most recent edition of this coaster model and has been getting rave reviews by coaster enthusiasts. I could see Cedar Point building a flying coaster that would outdo this beloved attraction and maybe even smash some records while they're at it. Vekoma is also working on a new flying roller coaster model, and it could be possible that Cedar Point would opt to try something new and original. Their only flying coaster is still being built at Fantasia, F.L.Y, which looks awesome. I would be stoked if Cedar Point decided to tackle a new coaster project with Vekoma. Fastest acceleration roller coaster. Formula Rossa has held the record as the fastest roller coaster in the world at 149 miles an hour. It's very possible that Cedar Point would want to bring this record back to the park and build yet another fast accelerating roller coaster. Maybe work with S&S and build not only the fastest roller coaster in the world, but the fastest acceleration in the world with one of their pneumatic launch coasters. This coaster concept would seem extremely similar to Top Thrill Dragster, which is why I'm not convinced that this would be their next project. The only way I would see this concept take flight is if Top Thrill were to be dismantled, only to replace it with another taller and faster model by S&S, which saying this now makes this idea sound pretty silly. S&S Axis Coaster. Last year, S&S revealed their new concept, the Axis Coaster. The ride is a free swinging roller coaster, but instead of flipping front to back, the Axis Coaster rotates you side to side. Currently, only a small prototype version of this coaster has been built, solely to demonstrate the concept. The roller coaster looks very neat, and maybe Cedar Point would be interested in something original for the park. Personally, I don't think Cedar Point would go with this concept, not yet anyways, until a few more models have been built and fully realized. The park has been going with proven concepts with their past 3 new roller coasters, which makes me to believe that they want to make sure their next roller coaster will be reliable to keep up with the heavy demands the park faces. Alright, that was my list of roller coasters that could be coming to Cedar Point. Which model would you like to see at Cedar Point? Or maybe there's something else that I didn't mention, could be Cedar Point's next big coaster. Let me know about it in the comments as always. Please subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content coming your way by X Scream Thrills.